Sound check. Can you hear me? Is this working? Yeah, it's maybe a bit up. It's quite mean to be like, make you do the sound check when the sound's not. Okay, I can hear something happening. Yes? Can everyone hear that?
Yeah,
can you hear it online okay? Okay. Are we starting? Are we? Give me 2 seconds. Okay, I'm waiting for and
Just to avoid the clatter after you start. And
yeah. Okay, we're good. Okay, so firstly, of course, I want to extend really warm and heartfelt thanks to everyone for being here and for being with us tonight, for the support of yourselves, your presence, and also, of course, for your donations. And also I want to thank people who are joining us online as well. We are here with a really incredible group of 5 writers to raise money for families in Gaza. And this is a space of grief, it's a space of anger, but it's also a space of solidarity. And this event has been organized by a mutual aid group based here in Edinburgh called In Solidarity. And you can probably tell from the name, but the group is a mutual aid society. We act in solidarity with Palestinians who are in Gaza, as well as a number of Palestinians who have been evacuated to Egypt and elsewhere during this genocide. And we specifically work to provide direct financial support to people. And frankly, it's absolutely impossible to do this work without community. It's just, you can't do this kind of fundraising work without being in community with others, which is why I particularly want to thank our readers, Shasta, Sunnah, Andrés, Zain, and Tisya, as well as, of course, Myri and everyone here at Lighthouse, who are always really amazing, such a kind of like beating heart of a lot of community work here in Edinburgh. And yeah, just to reiterate, it's super important to be together in community as we continue to do what we can to support the struggle for liberation in Palestine. So in terms of In Solidarity, we're currently raising funds for 14 different families at the moment, and all of the funds for all of our events and all the donations are split equally between all of those families. And since the Zionist entity began its blockade of Gaza earlier in March this year, families, not just our families of course, but all families in Gaza are just facing like the most unimaginable hardships. And I think one of the things that people are witnessing is not like during a genocidal campaign of starvation and ethnic cleansing, not only is it increasingly difficult, if not impossible, to find food, to find medicine, but also to find money. Like money itself becomes more expensive. So when we send a family, when we get a donation of £100, 45 pounds of that gets shaved off through money commission fees. So there's 55 pounds left. When people take that 55 pounds to the market, if they can find food, the prices, as most of you in this room will know, are so unbelievably inflated that maybe that 55 pounds will buy them a few aubergines, 1 tomato, a couple of onions, a kilo of flour, maybe some lentils. And like food that costs, we can go to the Tesco's down the street, we can pay £5 for that, but it costs like 55 pounds at the moment, which is just enraging and heartbreaking. So if you're in a position to, I would really encourage everyone, you can top up your donation. We'll have a break about halfway through. They can take top up donations here at the till. We've got like some posters, some amazing poetry pamphlets as thank yous for topping up your donation. Again, you've all seen those absolutely horrifying videos of the so-called aid distribution centers, which are like death traps and death zones. And I think for us, by having the funds to be able to send to our families to provide enough money for them to buy food themselves, it really means that the sons, younger sons, older sons, don't have to feel pressured into going to those awful places. They don't feel that they have no other choice. So yeah, if you are able to top up your donation tonight, then we'd be very grateful. Of course, if you're not, there are many, many other things that you can do, other ways that you can show support and solidarity. You can share fundraising links, you can share links for ESIM campaigns, you can include links to fundraising campaigns in your email signatures and you're out of office if you happen to be going on holiday this August. You can join local organizing groups, you can check your bank accounts, you can check your pension if you have one. You can boycott. There is always more that we can and must and should be doing. If you have any questions about In Solidarity or the work that we do as a collective, I'm very happy to speak to anybody afterwards. A lot of people have questions about like how we get money to families. I'm really happy to have a chat about that. But without any further from me, I'm going to introduce our first 3 readers. Then we'll have a short break. Then we'll come back and we'll introduce our final 2 readers. And if we have enough time, we'll see how we go. If we have enough time, I'm going to close this out with a reading of an amazing poem by American poet Darius Simpson. So I'm going to introduce our first 3 readers, and then I will hand over to Sunnah. So Sunnah Khan is a poet, filmmaker, and creative facilitator. Her debut pamphlet was published with Rough Trade Books in 2020, alongside the radical collective For Brown Girls Who Write. In 2023, she was shortlisted for the Aesthetica Poetry Prize. Her poems have featured in the Rialto and Poetry London. Then we will have Andrés and Ordorica, who is an Edinburgh-based queer Latinx writer who creates characters who are from neither here nor there, which is also got afterwards in the parentheses in Spanish, so ni de aquí ni de allá. And then we have finally in the first half we'll have Shasta Ali, who is a writer and poet navigating the legacy of race and heritage. Shasta is multilingual and writes into the gap where languages meet and don't meet. Currently you can find some of Shasta's poems in Edinburgh museums, disrupting conventional narratives. She is a winner of the Candlestick Press Light Poems Competition and a winner of the Edinburgh 900 Poetry Competition. Shasta was nominated as one of Edinburgh's 100 trailblazing women. So please give a very warm welcome to Sunnah.
Thank you. Is that okay? Can you hear me? I'm going to start off with a few poems by a Palestinian poet called Haya Muhammad. This is her pamphlet. It's called The Age of Olive Trees, and it was published recently by Outspoken Press. So I'm going to read a few of her poems and then I'll read a few of mine. How do you find the way to my homeland? I carry a backpack through life, moving from place to escape. Somehow I remain attached to my land. When I return to the tent at night, I pass a lady cooking on a clay oven. The irresistible food fills the air. I say to her, "What a wonderful smell." She replies, "Please come, my daughter." She doesn't know me. I don't know her. I know that this food isn't even enough for her family. This is inevitable in war. She invites me in, calls me her daughter. I realize this is my homeland's true path. When there's only one loaf of bread left for 2 days, no one touches it, despite everyone starving, until my mother divides it among us. Then I know I'm on the right path. Whatever dish she prepares, she sends to her neighbours. They do the same. No one sleeps hungry. When you go to offer condolences for their martyred children, you find yourself being comforted instead by their immense patience, faith, strength. Walking through streets, you see people sweeping, organising remnants of their homes. Others living in a remaining room, their destroyed house. A man sitting on his balcony chair in the rubble having breakfast. When you go to buy something, the seller tells you, pay what you can, and if you can't pay, don't. Then you realise who the true owners of this land are. Thank you. And this one's called Instructions on How to Live Through a Genocide. 1. Embrace the pain and be grateful that it has befallen you. Before this pain you were one person, and through it you have become someone else, filled with wisdom and maturity. This pain has shaped you. 2. Be grateful for the small blessings, starting with a healthy body, a sip of water, a plate of food, the vast sky around you, the white clouds and the birds remind you of freedom, the sea, the stars, and again white. 3. What happened in the past happened and ended. You live today and the future is ahead. The past is a finished story. 4. Try singing and dancing under the moonlight, smiling at the sky, shouting with the sea, racing waves, or remembering those things you did in your childhood, laughing like never before. 5. Live your day as if it's your last because you're only alive now. Don't dwell on past nightmares or fear the future because these are things you don't possess. Value what you have and make it yours. 6. Plant a tree. Take care of it. Watch it grow. An indescribable feeling. 7. Run through the rain and breathe. 8. Share your pain with a close friend or family member, but choose the right person and distribute it on 2 shoulders instead of 1. 9. Let your self-confidence soar with the birds. You are not an ordinary person. You have faced all the pain alone and are still here. What strength lies within you? No one knows your story. Don't let them judge. Rise and place the remaining pieces in their spots. Show them who you are. 10. In the middle of the night, when everyone is asleep, rise to pray and ask for what you want and need. He is here, in the first sky, closer to you than your jugular vein, listening and answering your prayers. 11. Be brave for yourself. Fight valiantly, even in your weakness. Fight because you have something that others don't, and it will be the tool you fight with until the last breath. And know well that you will triumph. 12. Open your arms and soar. Thank you. So this is Haya Mohammed. She's 22 years old. She's still currently in Gaza. I worked with her to put together these poems a couple of months ago, and it was printed by Outspoken Press. Since then, she's actually been awarded a full scholarship from Goldsmiths. So we're trying to currently get her over. And the visa process is currently ongoing. What I would ask every single one of you to do is to follow her on Instagram, on Anamkara, or just look up the pamphlet. We're currently trying to petition the government to drop these arbitrary rules around biometric data, which is stopping and hindering her visa process. So please, if you could do that, that would be amazing. Thank you. I'm going to read couple of short poems by myself and then I'll pass on. I don't know about you, but I feel like consuming this level of what we're witnessing, I've started to notice the flowers more. I feel like nature has become so much more beautiful and poignant. So I want to read a poem that I wrote recently that's entitled Is there a word for wonder? Does it sound the way you do? All gentle minor keys and feathers fluttering baby fern? Is wonder a doing word or a naming word? I like to think of it as a doing thing. the way the first light creeps in and I rush out the door to feel its first kiss. I like to think what is born outside of us is also within us. I catch a purple wisp still dancing as the pink chases the last of night's shadows away. I walk through the thick marsh with my gaze held away from myself. The soft brush of clouds indiscernible really, like thin cotton gauze freshly spread. The angels have swept the sky clean. There is so much to rush towards in this life, but wonder seems to be the most urgent. Its echoing relentless, its repetitions resoundingly free. I don't know if I will ever find a way to point to it precisely, but I know when I hear its call, it sounds so very true, it renders me speechless. Thank you. And just one, should I do one more? Is that, yeah? Okay. Again, this is untitled, but yeah, it's, just need an explanation. When the people shout ceasefire, I imagine you standing in front of a gun, whispering please under your breath. Your mother kissing your eyes closed as the metal hurtles unblinking towards your face. Tomorrow, we promise something else will happen, but it is today again. We move pen, point to paper, pin image to archive, lean into scripture. Our hearts move permanently into our mouths, and somehow the only thing outside that moves with great urgency are the bombs we unwittingly paid for that greet you from across the sea like a cruel joke. Everything is in motion. Even you continue to cease, to cease, to cease. The echo of ceasing is relentless. We watch the fire in its forever now, tapping our fingers urgently against the screen as if we might orchestrate a new sound for stop, as if we could collectively break glass to set the right alarm off. Some days, I want to tell you that I'm sure the only way to hold you is in my prayers. I know you would laugh. You would say, look up at the sky. Let the starlings show you how emotion is a movement made of many, that a murmur is more than what is whispered, that when we move together, our breath becomes the wind, disarming grave danger with the sound of our wings. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Andrés and Ordorica. I'm going to open with a poem by the Palestinian American poet Rhonda Gerard, who actually will be here in Edinburgh the 14th through the 16th of August for the mini Palestine Festival in Portobello Town Hall. Rhonda, along with the Palestinian poet Fadi Joda, made the very brave decision to pull out of the Edinburgh International Book Festival. So I do think we should extend as much support as possible for Rhonda and her other endeavors. Not only is she a poet and novelist, she is also a playwright. This is A Palestinian Tomorrow, after Joto Mario Arbolaez. For us, all of us, part of our resistance to the erasure of genocide is to talk about tomorrow in Gaza, to plan for the healing of the wounds of Gaza tomorrow. We will own tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a Palestinian day. Ghassan Abu Sita, a Palestinian tomorrow. Not the day after the war, but a day after the war. that day. The men will sleep for the first time without fearing death of its thefts, and for days after that day they will rest, but only a little bit after everyone else, especially the children. And the days after the day after the day after the war, because there is always a war, the mothers will sleep for 2 weeks in shifts, and after that they will start a school, but only after the day that they lie on the bare earth to say, I will hold you, and only you in my lungs and heart one day, but thankfully not today. Because today there is still a war, and maybe after the war there will be a day, if after the war I have a drum or even a mouth to fix, to say that we will dance and laugh so hard a day after the war, and after that we will sleep some more, if after the war there is more than a day, if after the war there is a ghost of a heart or of a lung, if after the war we meet by each other's graves, after we crawl out on that day, the day after the day after the day after the war. It's very hard to shift after a very emotive poem like that into my own work. I feel like many creatives right now, I question what the point of art is. But I think reading poetry like Ron does reminds me that there is value in how poets see the world and how they express the world. This is The River Turns into a Waterfall. The beavers are making den on the edge where the river turns into a waterfall. At the place their den becomes a dam. A beaver den or lodge is a seasonal home entered through water, free from predators, tucked away neatly, hidden in the forest. I am a beaver edging his way towards the lodge. Under murky water, tall yellowed reeds, cattails swaying, I find them, my fellow beavers. They ask me, will you help today? Will you make den with us? I, my friends, today I will make a den to pass the winter in, and when spring comes, I will swim back to the surface, breathe in the flowery air. These next two poems are in honor. My connection to Scotland is through my husband, who is from the northeast, which I feel like doesn't get a lot of credit that credit is due. I have to say Aberdeenshire is probably one of the most beautiful parts of Scotland. I'll say nothing about Aberdeen itself. This is written after a day when my in-laws took me to the seaside. This is Balmady. The seagrass stands at attention like porcupine quills or a conductor's baton, a symphony of crashing waves crescendo just beyond the hillocks. Mid-morning light catches the diamond droplets hanging from spiders' webs, the sandy, muddy pathways, paw print marked before us. Sand almost white, a blank canvas for yellowing sea foam washed upon the shore as waves run up and down, their laughter a roaring chorus. My eyes drawn to verdant driftwood, no longer than a hand, its smooth bark like green tides or swaying seagrass in the wind. I'll wrap it in a tired cloth to remind myself of this morning, running over hillocks far and wide, just so we might reach the water's edge. I'm going to read two more poems. This next poem is called Har Rising. Lapping waves in Spanish, olas rompiendo, as if hellos could break open. I study Har Rising from a line that breaks sea from sky. What is a horizon if not unfirmly boundless in essence, ephemerality? I see waves, but the sound does not exist. Silent movie, silent sea, silently. I turn my attention to two strangers on a train, going from strangers to the objects of this poem. Warm light pours in on them as they talk of homelands, Canada or Nova Scotia, while breezing along the coast. The Har has now risen above the ceaseless water, full of boundary breaking hello. This will be my last poem. This is In the Woods, written after Tishani Dashi. They are coming out of the woods like leaves blowing in the wind, only to be pushed further out across the land. In droves they are singing loudly, exuberant, fearsome even. These former quiet sprites, invisible not from want but survival, if only to see another day, but now they cloak themselves in every spool of thread, dressed in every type of cloth. Some are proud in the single space they occupy, others still are ever changing, and still others are ciphers coded solely to make sense to kindred spirits in the know. There in the forest live all the clues to their existence, how for millennia they have always walked the earth, this we know. They have been sending smoke signals from one generation to the next until finally saying, no more. In the face of great fear, in the face of great violence, it is braver to leave the safety of the trees, if only to see the light, to feel the sun, if only to fight back. Yes, they are coming out of the woods, they are running out of the woods, they are dancing out of the woods. We are howling like the wind. Like trees we shake, like trees we stand in the woods where we have always been. Thank you.
Hello everybody. I've been feeling pretty useless as well, and then Andrés actually put a beautiful post up today and said that we were all going to be here today in solidarity, and I feel so much better, so thank you. I'm going to start off with a few of my own poems. I've been struggling a lot about how we've got here, this dehumanization of people, and then I went on X and I'm like, okay, this is how we got here. This poem has quotes from and I feel awful saying this, but Jeremy Kyle and Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, because they kept coming up. The algorithm was determined to show me they're free. It'll be the first and last time I quote them, so don't worry. And it's called We Need to Look After Our Own. Your death arrives. Waves hold you like no one else did. Your body, ice cold, sinks to the ocean floor. We won't know your name, but we'll name you small boats, migrant, illegal. Because those standing at lecterns dressed with stop the boats as if the boats were paper empty of humans. Because if they stop the boats, send them back to where they came from, then they are devoid of any responsibility of why those boats filled with oceans of injustices are escaping their homelands to these homelands. Like the sun that never set across the British Empire, and this nation has no blood on its imperial hands. Your death arrives. Waves hold you like no one else did. Your body, ice cold, sinks to the ocean floor. We'll name you small boats, migrant, illegal, but we won't know your name. I wrote a ceasefire guzzle 21 months ago, and each time I performed it, I had to go in and edit it. And it got even harder each time I did it, so I've left it as it is. So this is ceasefire guzzle after Zafar Kanel. A child is killed every 10 minutes in the Gaza Strip. World Health Organization Director General calls for a ceasefire. The United Nations Security Council hears nowhere and no one is safe. Still no ceasefire. Sometimes Gaza climbs inside the word guzzle, sits in a hospitable home. The HL contouring it palatable to mouths which repeatedly refrain to say ceasefire. Gaza has become the hungriest place on earth. There is nothing left to say. Words are not feeding our children. UNRWA ceasefire. A compass will still point home, even if home is occupied by uninvited guests, even if home is borders and margins and edges of check boxes and checkpoints. Ceasefire. Gaza's starving face death to feed families, children killed in error. Our missiles hit aid sites. Mouths shaped by thirst, lifeless tiny bodies still clutching sunshine yellow jerry cans. Forced starvation, not famine. Ceasefire. My father always said there is a reason God made nights. To rest, to heal, to dream. He taught me to lay my trust in darkness, believe in the very next day. Fajr, pray, ceasefire. International law may well be buried with the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. Saving lives is not a crime. Saving lives is not a crime. Amnesty Secretary General demands a ceasefire. I saw the thread of Refat al-Arir's "If I Must Die" translates into languages of the earth. Words. Words being the only weapon of choice. Raising generations kite high. Ceasefire. This one, I found this one incredibly hard to write, but it's called From Sea to Sea. Rumi said, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." Yesterday, I read the people of Gaza were banned from entering the sea. Today, I saw an image of plastic bottles bobbing in the ocean. Bottles filled with rice and lentil and beans in the hope that the current would carry them to Gaza. Today, someone posted, "We are all fools to believe these AI-generated images. And if I'm a fool, so be it, because I would rather believe." Today, I saw a video of children sat on a beach. Little hands writing tiny notes, tiny fingers filling plastic bottles with grains. Inshallah. Inshallah, they'll reach our brothers and sisters in Gaza, they said, wide-eyed and hopeful. Today, I read a thread of angry comments. The no heavenly plants and animals will be contaminated. They're polluting the environment, endangering our marine life. Plankton over people. For a moment, I fully believed. These bottles of hope and solidarity, breaking waves with breaking news. Today my children reminded me the people of Gaza were banned from entering the sea. And I'll just end with one more, because I feel like we are here in solidarity, we are here for each other. And this one is called Dunya, which means the world. The earth holds its suffering, digs it deep into its roots, twists a healing only truth can touch. I tread a path inwards. Those who came before us wrote their poems onto trees. I unpeel layer after layer, read their secrets to heartwood, to pith. The earth gives more than it takes, and finally, we are listening. We take no more than we need, and we only need what we can share. And when darkness threatens to unfurl, light coils round and round, fills the air like the susurrus of spring leaves, strikes an ancient deal with time, nudging birdsong into the crack of dawn. I'm just going to end with a poem by Palestinian poet Khalid Juma. He wrote this during the Israeli bombardment in Gaza in 2014. And in 2014, I marched with a double buggy with my little ones And it was hard then, and it's hard now because they're teenagers and we're still marching. But I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a wee image of them from there, and he's got a wee t-shirt that's got hero up, and I just think, do you know, like I need to hero up basically. It's called "Oh Rascal Children of Gaza" by Khalid Juma. Oh rascal children of Gaza, you who constantly disturb me with your screams under my window. You who filled every morning with rush and chaos. You who broke my vase and stole the lonely flower on my balcony. Come back and scream as you want. And break all the vases, steal all the flowers. Come back. Just come back. Thank you.
Could I just ask everyone to join me again in another round of applause for our first three leaders and Sunnah and Shasta. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we are going to take quite a short break, maybe 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Let's go 8 minutes. I'll put a timer on, and then we'll come back for our final two readers. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, you just looking for the bathroom?
Yeah,
sure.
I was instructed. So sorry, this is who I am. This is who I am as a person. It's always very inconvenient.
Is it possible to use the bathroom now?
Yeah, of course. These two are just heading down.
I'll wait. It's okay.
No problem. Just after the bathroom. You after the bathroom?
Oh no, just
having a look.
at the
Okay.
table that's usually in the middle.
Oh, we've popped it just over there. The wee table usually there. Alright.
right in the camera line, so I'm just going to stand away.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, actually.
We're going to get started again, everyone, so if people could please come back through, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, after the It's just nice to come up just forward.
I like the approach, it was fun.
Okay, have we got most people back? It looks like we've got most people back in the room. Are you all right for online? Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, so we are going to close out with our final two readers. We have Zain, Rishi, and Tisya Sanchez. So I will just again read their biographies, and then I will hand over to Zain. So Zain Rishi is a writer and bookseller from Birmingham. He writes about the relationship between the body and language. He won the 2025 Ware Poets competition and placed third in the 2024 Oxford Poetry Prize. His poetry is, I love that. His poetry is featured in Wildness, 14 Poems, Horizon, Oxford Poetry, Gather and Propel. His debut poetry pamphlet, Noon, is forthcoming in February 2026 with the Emma Press. Ooh, so something to look out for. And then finally, to close us out, we have Tisya Sanchez, who is a postgrad who researches decolonizing resilience through poetic inquiry, and is currently a project worker exploring co-production with refugees and ethnic minorities. Her work has always centered on remembering, be it laments of the people or litanies to God. Tisya believes that art and remembrance as resistance can help liberate the collective from systemic oppression. So please join me in a warm welcome for Zain.
Hello everyone. I've been really moved by hearing everyone who's read so far. I thought a lot about what I was going to say, just to kind of lead into it. I almost feel like when you come to something like this, you kind of feel quite lost for words. And it's a kind of thing that really mutes your own self-expression. But one of the things which I've latched onto, even when having conversations with creatives, and a lot about the kind of hopelessness and helplessness that we feel, is that there are spaces like this, and there are places that we can come together, and places where we can share our work. And I feel really lucky that we have a shop like Lighthouse Books, where we can all come and kind of express our words. So I think on behalf of everyone here, just to say to Lighthouse that we love you and thank you so much for always being there. I'm going to start by reading a couple poems from Vadi Judah, whose work is very arresting and quite personally affecting for me. As Andrés mentioned, he made the decision to pull out of the Edinburgh Book Festival, and I do think that it's important that we still provide those platforms and spaces for our Palestinian creatives. I love his work, and it's really informed a lot of my own writing, so I'm going to read you two poems from him. This first poem is called Scarecrow. The rice field birds are too clever for scarecrows. They know what they love, milk in the grain. When it happens, there will be no time to look for anyone. Husband, children, 9 brothers and sisters, you will drop your sugarcane stick beating of plastic bucket. Stop shouting at birds and run. They will load you in trucks and herd you for 100 miles. Old men will teach you trade with soldiers at checkpoints. You will give them your spoon, blanket, and beans. They'll let you keep your life. And if you jump off the truck, the army jeep trailing it will run you over. Later, they will accuse you of giving up your land. Later, you will stand in distribution lines and won't receive enough to eat. Your mother will weave you your new underwear from flour sacks, and they'll give you plastic tents, cooking pots, vaccine cards, white pills, and wool blankets, and you will keep your cool, standing with eyes shut tight, like you've got soap in them, arms stretched wide, like you're catching rain. This poem's called Twice a River. After studying our faces for months, my son knows to beam is the thing to do. He'll spend years deciphering love, the injustice or the illusion having been brought into this world. Volition is an afterthought. What will I tell him about land and language and burial, places my father doesn't speak of, perhaps my mother knows? In the movie, the dispossessed cannot return, even when they're dead. The journalist felt rebuke for not having thought it mattered, or for having thought it mattered too much. Will I tell my son all nations arise after mass murder, that I don't know any national anthem by heart, can't sing, take me out to the ball game? I should turn to flowers and clouds instead, though this has already been said well. It is night when he gazes into his mother's eyes at bath time. Gace and Layla, she announces after a long day's work. He giggles with his shoulders, not knowing he's installing a web in his amygdala, or whichever place science thinks love dwells. Even love is a place. Oh son, love no country and hate none, and remember crimes sometimes immortalize their victims, other times the victimizer. Remember how you used to gaze at the trampoline, leaves on their branches? Don't believe the sound of the sea in a seashell. Believe the sea, the endless trope, and don't say much about another's language. Learn to love it while observing silence for the dead and then the living in it. I'm going to read you a few of my own poems now. This first one's called Relay 2014. There was little point running from the roundness of my hips or stomach until the last call for the summer relay. My feet crunching along the track. That blistering June, its inevitable sense of foreboding. I'd watch the rooks watching me, lining the green metal gates like good boys, fully armed to the whistle in Mr. Roll's hand, liver spotted, in the way sunlight, for all its majesty, was also slacking off in parts. It was the slack, I guess, of most things that bothered me. How it took 7 adults to say yes, we should have better safeguards. Meanwhile, I, a flail of a boy, blindly thudded the Astro, flattened and the corners of skin. I see everything in these shapes. Sometimes a color is a boy and a weapon. Sometimes breath is a language I don't mind losing. Most days, on the walk to school, I take longer, more ambling routes, proving to no one that I could bear the journey, even when I was carrying myself. But I suppose in all of this, there were good lessons too. Like the air, albeit wheezed, bubbling out of me as I swam half-lengths, like my whole life flung like a baton into the light, hard light of noon. Our half-baked bodies always back and forth, as if by momentum, as if we are always somewhere behind ourselves, holding out a reason to stay. Got a really short poem that I want to read. I want to be the moonlight on Gaza. Take my body and make it moonlight for the rivers and children of Gaza. Take my world, I do not want it. Give me another where the sky promises nothing but light and love and more of it. Brandle Bay, after Carl Phillips. All that remained of the shore was the men, casting lines towards their shadows on the water. Still no sign of the wind smearing waves across its surface, as we'd seen from the summit hours ago, which could well have been days before we realized this too was stillness remembering itself. I think accidents are their own kind of destiny. The other day, I caught a red admiral wandering the crags, flirting with whatever green there was among the rocks, where little grew except its stubborn sense of determination, not unlike what had brought us anywhere in the first place. Too often I'm reminded of how I floated between people who gave me nothing and still convinced me to stay. As my hand found the vertebrae of the ridge, the other found nothing, and I thought of her, then him, then how everything that found me much later was contained in the scrubbing call of a single cormorant, seemingly lost above the boats, then right above our heads as we watched the tide paint over another history. I am somewhere here always, I wanted to say, as we planted our feet downstrummed towards the shore. We gathered the stones we'd been carrying on our way to the harbour. We threw them into the dark and heard them dance over the water. I've just got one more poem that I'm going to read you. I think a lot about language. Vadi's work really makes me think about how language lives in us and continues to inform everything that we do. I learned Arabic from a very young age and then lost it later in my teens. And I often think of that as a kind of personal failure. But there's ways in which I think even things that we lose and things that we have in our own history that kind of still continue to inform who we are. And there is a way that we can remain connected to that. So I'm going to read you this last poem. And thank you all for being here. And I would encourage you as well, if you can top up your donation, as Crystal said, please do so. And please spread the word. This poem is called After Spring. To think I almost lost you. Somewhere in the memory of a riverbank, barefoot against the polished stones, where blue poppies had broken out of the soil, waking, it seemed, from ruptured slumber. To think we had also woken like that, once thriving in another land before we lost our words for simple pleasures, like butter, like sun. To me, you are both of my lost tongues, and neither of them. You are the noon as it hangs above the day, like the day I found you, and we spoke then, as we speak now in our first language, a kind of honest silence that seems to hang between old friends, which is what we are, my love, my John. You are the river. You are my reflection as I'm looking up. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you so much. Hello everyone, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the love, mercy, and blessings of God be with you all. Thank you again, Crystal and Lighthouse, for having us here. It's always such an amazing thing to be gathered in a room full of people who share love and action towards the same cause. I'll start with this poem by Taha Muhammad Ali, a Palestinian poet, and his work is called The Fourth Qasida. Qasida here means poem or lament in Arabic. And it's about his betrothed who he didn't get to marry due to losing her to the Nakba, named Amira. And Amira in this poem becomes symbolism for everything and anything that is then lost to love, lost to time, death, and separation. When our loved ones leave, Amira, as you left, an endless migration in us begins, and a certain sense takes hold in us, that all of what is finest in and around us, except for the sadness, is going away, the parting not to return. The pomegranate trees, whose flowers you loved, dropped and their shape withdrew, and the path and the china bark tree and the brooks all departed after you left, and will not return. During the winter, strange birds seeking refuge arrive,
among them quails and songbirds with colorful wings, and also birds of prey, and some that are sad and frail, and hold you spellbound in their goodness, gathering pebbles and grain, and trembling in the tremendous cold, and out of a sense of profound strangeness, though all of a sudden together they leave. They come as one in winter suddenly, as with it they suddenly flee. I have, Amira, a strange and powerful feeling, which grows still stronger in winter, becoming increasingly forceful and strange. And I sense that you will arrive one day with these birds, an olive's dove, enchanting, sweet-smelling, graceful and gentle and restless, alighting near the almond tree in our garden. Threading on from that qasida, I wanted to share with you all a qasida from around the 14th, 15th century by someone who is very important to me. His name is Sheikh Abdul Ghani al-Nablusi. He's an Islamic scholar whose family's origins are from Nablus, from Palestine, but then he was born and raised in Damascus. And this qasida has been sung in many, many forms throughout Yemen, throughout Sudan. And I love that the threads across nations, across communities is what the Ummah is, you know. This is what embodies our love for the cause. So it goes. Allah, 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 in jabartum qasra qalbi antum ahlu dhimami أو هجرتم يا حبايب فعلى الدنيا السلام الله 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 قال تقمار تياجي قل لأرباب الغرام كل من يعشق محمد في أمان والسلام. And this translates to, you who heal broken hearts, you are the one who gives protection, dearly beloved who left the world behind you. Salam. The stars of the night that speak, those who walk the path of love, those who yearn for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may they have a safe and secure journey. So in tandem with these two qasidas that are about the beloved and the lover and the leaving and the left, it reminded me of this old poem that I had written in I think it was September 2022, and I performed it for the first time at, I think it was Edinburgh Book Festival, Push the Boat Out, in November 2022, which was a whole year before the October 7th genocide. And this speaks the same themes of the previous two poems. This is called Lovers of the Olive Tree. Two lovers in tandem with folklores of a land as old as time, fisting and breathing their way through hazes of content. Could there ever be a still moment of love, of life? Me and them are no separate beings in this wretched realm. I root for their tale as much as the olives know their roots. Waters neath the soil once nourished great prophets, and the purity insists itself onto those who bear fruits and divine arms, both the machines with either bullets or pens. In spite of God and good, thieves exist and persist ever so insecurely. Demonstrations of delusion become their path. Out with the old, in with the new is an intro to death row. On demolitions of traditions, fear is near where there is wrath. And so, whose rage are we praying for? Whose land would we die on? Whose souls are heaven sent and whose sins do we resent? Those two lovers long prepared for a grand reunion, fuming and braving their hearts through the lusts of glory, greed and envy birthed by the widest of opinions, in which a darkness that we all know of breeds and be. And though both of their mothers are martyrs, they are tireless in a resistance that is more than half of the Queen's reign. Her time on earth has passed at last, and yet people still feign blindness. Yes, the tree remains firm. Perhaps that is why terror is here, among cowards who would rather a rain of blood, not knowing that those in love would have no fear of a sacred red, for they know that the white will be judged. Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi raji'un. Verily we belong to God, and to him do we return. Is there hope for the two lovers to be wed? Maybe not in this life, maybe in the next. Do you think that excuses your objections? Know that their faith is an olive tree, unquestioned. This next poem is one that I wrote exactly a year later from the previous one, and that is about living in parallel with our brothers and sisters in Gaza. The wind, an aggressive passion on our window, fear lingers in the room, repressed by tired smiles. I say, let it be. Let it be the waves reuniting with its shore. My friends sigh. A nuisance now offers relief. Bombs follow the food aid, and Father says, let it be fireworks. Allahu Akbar, let the divine delude, and you keep smiling. The bombing ensues. The shrill in my ear. It's been there a while now. Zanana, the endless droning of warplanes, louder than they need to be. I keep smiling. Intangible pain smothered by a migraine. My family asks, why does the ambulance pass by your house so often? They could hear it through the walls, through my phone screen. And I try to soften the wails of life or death. The hospital's not far from here, I tell them. I keep smiling, the ringing now in both of my ears. Blessed is the night when sirens go off among the rubble, wounded treating wounded. No one softens. They simply let God. The hospitals are ash and bones, they were told. The elder woman keeps smiling. Has the world ever seen a sane mother in glee at her son's passing? He is with God now. The grief only lingers among the rubble. On good days, the wave wind kisses my skin as if spelling out a sorry and a thank you. Something about my eyes squinted by the sun, stunned by the nostalgic breeze. Have I been here before? My chest is warm, but my lips now a hesitant stretch, as if the constant smiling is now burnt out. I don't want to wake up to this world anymore. Lifting my body feels heavier than my smile. I would rather be a kite, or a seed, or perhaps let me be the wind that is an ocean. There is such a strange cry that finds its way out, for the first time in weeks. The breath that follows feels heavier than time. Explosives set off across my flesh, ash and bones. Let it be fireworks. Let the ringing disappear. I only hear myself drowning. Is this ocean an old friend? Have I been here before? Allahu Akbar. I don't want to wake up to this world anymore. I think my mind has let itself go. A nuisance now offers relief. Let the divine delude. Allahu Akbar. Let the divine delude. Allahu Akbar. Were those sirens meant for me? Does my family know? Questions I do not want answers to, yet these voices, not a fever dream, not memories, but parallel beings. They weep for me when I lose my sight. They speak for me when I no longer can. Grief only lingers among the rubble. Simply let God. Simply let God. I give in to the tides, now one with the ocean that found its shore, and you keep smiling. The bombing ensues. I'll close off with this poem. This poem from Palestinian poet Fatwa Tukan was deemed as the poet of Palestine and is also from Nablus. And this is a poem called Existence. In my solitary life, I was a lost question. And the encompassing darkness, my answer lay concealed. You were a bright new star, revealed by fate, radiating light from the fathomless darkness. The other stars rotated around you, once, twice, until I perceived your unique radiance. Then the bleak blackness broke, and in the twin tremors of our entwined hands, I had found my missing answer. Oh you intimate yet distant. Don't you remember the coalescence of your spirit in flames, of my universe with yours, of the two poets? Despite our great distance, existence unites us. Thank you.
And could you please join me in giving a final round of applause for our fantastic leaders tonight? Thank you so much to everyone, to Shasta, to Andrés, to Tisya, to Zain, to Sunnah, and thank you again so much to Lighthouse for just being such an absolute rock of solidarity for so many different, multiple, and intersecting communities and organizing spaces across Edinburgh. We're going to close off. I think the shop will stay open for a little bit longer, but I think we're also trying to get cleaned up and get people out in the next sort of 15 minutes or so. But again, I would just final encouragement to top up your donation if you can. If not, thank you again so much for coming and for being here with us tonight in solidarity. It really means a lot. Thank you again.